It was Christmas-themed hot chocolate mixes wrapped up in a little package with a mug. I had made sure to pick out the peppermint mocha and the toffee nut because I think she liked those. It was a couple days after New Year's, and I had just arrived back on campus, and I was about to surprise my roommate Jen with some little Christmas gifts after coming back. So it was to my surprise when I opened the door and I took a minute to process what I saw, because I saw my half of the room completely as I left it before the Christmas break, but her room, her half of the room, completely empty. There was a mattress, some empty bookshelves there. And I didn't understand, but now I understand. I'd been ghosted in real life by my own roommate. And as I was standing there thinking about this, I felt somebody like standing behind me, kind of almost looking over my shoulder into the room. And she said, "Man, yeah, I saw her packing her shit the other day. Did you guys get in a fight or something? I mean, did she hate you?" I didn't even have to look behind me. I knew who it was already. It was this loner girl who lived down the hallway. She wore these black combat boots everywhere. She shaved her head every month, but her armpits never. I mean, she really had no friends. So I shrugged her away, and I just went back into the room and sulked. Now I had my room to myself. But I was sitting there sulking, and the only thing I really had to look forward to that semester was that I had been accepted into this class called paleontology. And paleontology, I had loved dinosaurs since I was a little kid. I was that little girl playing with T-Rex models while all my friends were playing with Barbies. But the best thing about paleontology was that we got to take field trips. And so one weekend, we drove a couple of hours out to this little podunk town in Tennessee because there was a quarry outside this town. And some company had been mining for something, but what they had accidentally also discovered was a nice shale bed, an ancient Cambrian age shale bed, teeming with fossils. So this was like our Christmas. We rolled up there with our little rock hammers and our little backpacks, and we scurried around in all the little rock heaps. I spent hours there just tapping on different rocks, trying to open one up to discover a little surprise inside. I had probably cracked open hundreds of those rocks that day, but finally, I found it. The little fossil was probably no bigger than the size of my palm. It was a little Trilobite fossil. Now, these little strange creatures had roamed the world's oceans for over 300 million years. Just to put in a little bit of perspective how old this was, to a dinosaur, this would have been a 100-million-year-old fossil. And I touched it. I felt the little grooves in its exoskeleton. I put my finger on the little ridges of its back. And I felt like this creature was from another world. And this world was the shallow ocean that covered the vast expanse that everything I could see or hear anywhere around me, from the people, scurrying around in the rocks around me, to the roar of those tractor trailers on the highway outside the quarry, to my university, which was around a 2-hour drive away, to my parents' house, to all the people teeming and scuttling around and caring what other people thought and getting ghosted by their roommates. A shallow ocean covered all of this. And so I felt like this little trilobite didn't belong really in this world. And sometimes I felt like neither did I. So I took him home. I got back to the dorm, my empty room. I put the little trilobite on my desk. And eventually about a week later, my ex-roommate, Jen, showed up. So she was awkwardly trying to explain and apologize why she had moved out. And, I would have gotten really upset about this prior, but then I thought, you know what? I looked over at the little trilobite and I thought, actually, what she's saying doesn't really bother me anymore. I'm connected to something a little bit deeper. And so after Jen had left, I thought, you know what? I thought for a minute, I thought, maybe there's someone else who may just understand what this feels like. And so I grabbed the little trilobite and I went down the hallway, all the way down the hallway. And I went outside her door, and she had her bike parked outside her door. And her bike had this big sticker that said, like, this bike is a pipe bomb on it. And I heard this weird emo music coming from inside the room, because she didn't have a roommate either. But I kind of stood there, and I was waiting for her with a trilobite in one hand and my hot chocolate mixes that were like 6 weeks old in my other hand. And she opened the door, and she looked at the hot chocolate first, and she said, like, what the hell is that shit? And then she looked at the trilobite, and she's like, yeah, and what the hell is that? I didn't care. I just stood there for a while. And after a few seconds, she caved. She let me in. I knew she would. Because us trilobites, we know how to stick together. Thank you.